Now, let's get back onto our national economy and opening up this country in the wake of the pandemic. I want to cross to Melbourne now and catch up with Ines Willox again, who heads up Australian Industry Group. Good to talk to you, Ines. There was a fascinating development today when a group put together by Sydney University, it included academics and business people, and it's come out with a roadmap to reopening. Now, I think the university sector, sometimes they get lost in the weeds on an issue, but they've got a very direct interest in reopening our borders. But they're talking a lot of sense here, how we've really done such a good job over the past year or so, keeping the country almost COVID-free. And now with vaccine rollouts happening, we have to have a heavy bias towards opening up, sector by sector, case by case. Have you had a look at their report, and do you think this is something that governments really should be listening to?
Well, Chris, I think they're sort of really on the right track. The reality is that, as you say, vaccines are going up, but the rest of the world is opening too. And you know, I was on a video call with Boris Johnson this week on a whole other different issue, but he made the point there that the UK is opening up before June 21, probably, you know, maybe even as early as next week. They're going to completely open up. The US is moving to open up. Canada is starting the process of reopening again. You look around the world, they're getting on with it. And what we have here is a situation where federal government, in cahoots with the states, are saying, or most of the states are saying, no, we have to stay shut for at least another year, Now, that is going to put us right behind the eight ball when it comes to how the rest of the world looks at us, how the rest of the world deals with us. And I was talking with a global official this week at an international institution in another event who was talking about Australia from an economic perspective, and said it was madness that we would want to remain closed while the rest of the world opened, because COVID will be with us, as they said, until the last person in the last country is vaccinated or we find another way. So we have to live with it in some way. We have to find a way to open ourselves up to allow people to come in and out of the country, or else people just won't come here. Students is one area, skilled workers is another, tourists is another. We face a year at least of keeping key sectors of our economy closed and shutting ourselves off in what I describe as a gilded cage from the rest of the world. That is just not going to cut it.
It's so frustrating because all the evidence on this has been there for so long. We've been talking on this program for more than a year about the fact that the virus doesn't go away. You have to learn to deal with it. And we're very lucky that we've got vaccines available so quickly. 3 million Australians already vaccinated. You have a talk about the UK. Their vaccination has been fantastic. Now, there's even a problem today with the first repatriation flight after restarting flights from India, with almost half of those people knocked out because they're either COVID positive or close contacts of people who are COVID positive. But doesn't that just underscore the success? We can have testing, we can have vaccines, and then we have quarantine. So with those sort of 3 levels of checks, we've got to be all right.
Well, you've got to hope, Chris, that states would have confidence in their systems by now, their contact tracing, their tracking, all of the mechanisms that they need, their QR codes and the like, to keep their communities safe. But all the evidence continues to point for us to that the states don't have that confidence because they're not prepared to allow people more into the community. And then when the inevitable case does come out, and it will continue to come out, then there, as you know, in Victoria, every time there's a case, there's just a wave of absolute fear washes across the community that they're going to get locked up again. That's the reaction. And you know, that's not sustainable for community confidence, for business confidence, for investment. And it's the same in other states as well. Maybe not so much because they haven't gone through the Victorian experience, but you know, you've got to hope that the states and the federal government with them have confidence in their systems. And if the longer they keep us locked away, the more you think they don't have that confidence.
Yeah, it's a worry because they're jumpier now than they were 6 months ago, a year ago, in my view, and they should be the opposite. Just before we let you go, minimum wage rises. You're pushing back against some of the wage rises. Pretty tough. It's been a tough year for everybody. Wage growth has been low. Surely it's those on the lowest wages that need some help.
Well, we are putting forward for the Fair Work Commission a 1.1% increase in the minimum wage. We already do have the world's highest minimum wage at just over $750 a week. You have to take into account that employers are going to pay that 0.5% super guarantee increase from 1 July as well. And in the federal budget, with the ongoing low and middle income tax offsets that have been put in place, that's an equivalent to about another 1.9% increase in the minimum wage. So in total, when you look at it, with inflation running at 1.1%, which is what we're arguing, people on low incomes have got about a 3.5% increase over the past year, because the Commission gave a 1.75% increase last year. So it's not just in itself that increase that you've got to look at. There are other factors, but you said people are doing it tough. A lot of businesses are doing it tough too. And if you were to say to them, oh, well, let's give everyone a 3.5% increase, which is what the ACTU want, a lot of businesses, particularly small businesses, would just walk out the door, lock it and walk away. Now, they just can't afford it. The other point, last point, Chris, is this minimum wage decision is always the floor for further wage increases, working through the chain. And we know there is some significant wage pressure in some parts of the economy, particularly skilled, but we just don't want to go too fast, too quick, to put more pressure on business at a time when many, particularly those who do pay around the minimum wage and just above, are really struggling at the moment.
It's always good to talk to you. I'm going to see your mob, the Pies, play at the SCG tomorrow. I think the Swannies might have them.
You'll be yelling for us, I know you will, but I think you're an ABC guy. Anyone but Collingwood, right?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Innes Willox there, heads up AIG, also a mad keen Collingwood supporter.